Hey, this is Mr. Muller for the lesson 3-1 puzzle time. So the joke is what has a foot on each end and one in the middle. Normally with these we look at just a couple. Since this is a pretty short one, we'll look at all of them. So remember, we need to determine if these are functions, and they're functions if the x's don't repeat. So if I look here, I have an 8, I have a 6, I have a 4, I have a 2, and I have a 4. So it looks like I got 2 4s there. So not going to be a function. Number 2, I got a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. All those are different numbers. So that one is a function. Number 3, we got a -11, a -9, a -7, a -5, and a -3. All those are different, so it is a function. Here we got 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. So got 2 3s here in the x. So not a function. Here we got 17, 2, 1, 2, 17. So this one actually repeats twice. So doubly not a function. So 2's and 17's repeat. And here we got -4, 1, 4, 7, 10. None of those are repeating. So that one is a function. 7 and 8, it wants us to identify the domain and range. So remember, domain is the furthest left point. So it looks like the furthest left point is -2. And the furthest right point is +2. So it needs to be somewhere from -2 to +2. Remember, domain is represented with an x. So looks like it's going to be that one. I don't even have to look at the range, but we'll look at it. And then the lowest point, remember, range is our lowest point to our highest point. Our lowest point of this graph is 0. And then we put a y in the middle for range. It looks like the highest point of this graph is 4. So it looks like number 7 is going to be t. If we look at number 8, they tried to trick us a little bit because now this is an open circle. So that just means that it's not going to include that point. But same process, the furthest left of that point is 0. And then not an equal to there, so just less than. And then the furthest right this graph goes is 3. So again, we don't even need to look at the range, but we will. We already know based on that, it has to be that. And then for the range, it looks like the lowest part is 0 and the highest part is 3. So again, going to be actually pretty much the same thing, minus that x and the y. All right. Use the following information in 9 and 10. The function t equals -8j plus 24 represents the number of tomatoes that your neighbor has left after making j jars of salsa. All right, so we need to identify the dependent variable. So what can we depend on? What can we control? Well, we can control the tomatoes. Are you going to buy 1 tomato? Are you going to buy 1,000 tomatoes? That's what you can control. Independent would then be the jars of salsa, depending on like the size of tomatoes and how good they are. That's really up to the tomatoes of how many jars of salsa we make. So tomatoes is going to be the independent, and salsa is going to be tomatoes are going to be the dependent. We can control that. We can't determine how many jars of salsa we have. So answer to the joke, what has 1 foot on each side and what foot in the middle? It is a yardstick. Finally, we get a good math joke in there after all those cat and science jokes.